For the final week in the regular season portion of the MIAA football season, it is our Thursday preview. Once again, we're here at Walpole High School outside of the John Lee press box. Great facility here, got even better, and a huge one coming up, Brendan. Our game of the week this week, Walpole, Natick. These teams don't like each other. We're going to dissect it all and our picks coming up here for week 8. But of course, I'm Scott Barboza. Brendan, what's going on?
Not much, man. I mean, you can already feel the tension here. It's a Tuesday when we're filming this, and you already know what's up. The answers here are short today. There's a lot of focus here. You can see it on the field, a lot of screaming and yelling. You know what's going to come here on Friday night. Natick brings a huge crowd. There's going to be the tailgating. I imagine if you're coming, you have to get here an hour and a half before the game to find a parking space. I mean, it's just going to be one of those kind of environments. Every year, this is a big game for us, one of our biggest games of the year, and every year it kind of lives up to expectations, doesn't it?
Of course. And, of course, this year we add into the caveat of that next week the playoffs do start across the state, so, of course, there's implications there. But we're going to slice and dice this matchup every which way. Brendan will get back into our couple of weeks here with the B Hollistrator. We're going to bring up a couple plays here in a minute.
It's going well so far.
Let's start this with Natick. Obviously, no introduction here. Troy Flutie, we all know what he can do. Really his skill, and we, talked about this. We'll get into this in a little bit here, but, really Troy's ability to make plays with his feet is really what makes this Red Hawks offense hum.
Yeah, a lot of us, including myself, question how efficient this offense would be after losing Brian Dunlap after the first scrimmage to a season-ending foot injury, and then losing Alex Hilger 2 games into the season with a shoulder injury. Of course, he's back, had a good game last week, but this offense continued to hum. Through 6 games, Troy's got, I think, 1,600 yards passing, 26 touchdown passes to just, I think, 6 interceptions. Remarkably efficient. He's completing close to 65% of his passes, which is pretty good for a high school quarterback. Obviously, there's some pedigree. His uncle, Doug Flutie, his father, Darren Flutie, both CFL legends. Doug, the Heisman winner. He's going to BC. Looking like he'll probably play more of an athlete role as opposed to a quarterback, but at this level, his talent level is almost without peer. I found a couple weeks ago on Twitter, one of our followers made a point of comparing him to Johnny Manziel, which I think is interesting because if you recall, during A&M week with Alabama, Nick Saban actually compared Johnny Manziel to Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
So it kind of works around.
Full cycle.
But they all have that same trait, is that they're at their most dangerous when they're extending the play. I'm going to show a couple plays here in a couple minutes, but Flutie really, that's when he's at his most dangerous. You look at most of his running plays, the big running plays, they're scrambles. The big home run plays, the 40, 50-yard passes, they're when he's extending the pocket to the sideline and making a big throw downfield to a leaking receiver across the formation. It's really dynamic stuff that he does, and boy, is he just a fun player to watch. I'll look at a couple of clips here from last week against Milton. We'll show you some of these here. Going to look at this first play here. It's a 37-yard touchdown pass. Hilger's going to motion across the formation. Tommy Ranucci on the outside. He's going to run a deep post in. Flutie sees a frontside pressure, rolls away, resets his feet, and just throws a bomb downfield to Ranucci for the touchdown catch. This one right here, a 27-yard run. He sees a lane open up early to his right and just immediately sprints upfield. But watch right here. Watch him break this guy's ankle. And then he sprints off another 10 yards. This is a dynamic running quarterback. This next one here is another long pass. He immediately gets pressure and jab steps, then spins away, fires at the last possible moment. Andrew Boynton is going to come across the field, high points the ball in between 2 defenders for a nice 25-yard completion. The game plan generally, most teams, the way they've tried to defend him is try to cage him up and not surrender running lanes. But, I mean, you look at what they've been doing since the start of his junior season, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, obviously that containment up front is critical to any defense trying to really have a chance staying in that game. We're going to talk to Noah Kung right here, senior captain, offensive defensive lineman.
Noah, big week for you guys. This is the game of the year, it seems like, for you guys every year. What is the mood like this week?
Well, our intensity is up high because we have to be. We need to get a good week at practice. Bring the heat on Friday. Be intense.
Look at a guy like Troy Flutie, and he does so many dynamic things. And it seems like when he's flushed out of the pocket is when he's at his most dangerous. How do you approach a player like that of such a unique talent?
Well, we just have to see his strengths in our films that we have, and we have to try to exploit where he's his weakest, and build up our defense where he's the strongest.
You guys have had a rash of injuries here, but in the trenches, you guys are still pretty good. You hold your own, Copatrick off the end. What's been the key there? You guys use some pretty good techniques, in combat there, one-on-one. How good is this line?
I think our line is our strongest point. Our line is almost all starters back from last year. Our defensive line is big. We're strong. We get to clog up the line a lot, so that's our strong point.
Is it sort of a next man up mentality here with you guys?
Yeah. If a player goes down, then his backup needs to step up. He needs to know his job and what he has to do to succeed.
Thanks very much, Noah. Now, obviously, we already talked about this Natick passing attack. Completely different animal with Alex Hilger in or out of the lineup. We saw it last year. It was actually during Walpole week last year that Hilger, who had been out for most of the season, came back, was a huge factor in that game. We have to expect the same coming this Friday.
Yeah, he's really been snake bitten with injuries the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You were there against Weymouth, and he had a terrific debut.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he's out with a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
Comes back last week against Milton, has a really dynamic game, catches 2 touchdowns. Obviously, Troy is making this work with seemingly anybody in the lineup, and they've done their part. No disrespect, they're just a different look when Alex is in the lineup. He's 6'3", 175 pounds. He runs like a gazelle out there. He just kind of glides. He gets great separation on guys. He's got great vertical leap. He's got great awareness. Really good foot, just the total package as far as a vertical receiver. Really what you're looking for. I'm going to look at a couple clips here from the Milton game last week just to show you what I'm talking about with Hilger. This one's going to be a 42-yard pass. Hilger line up opposite strength of formation, cover 1. Fluty's looking downfield. Hilger goes out and up. Doesn't even break his stride here as he hauls in the catch. Safety doesn't get over. The only thing really stopping him here on this play is the sideline. This next one here, again, opposite trips. You don't see it on the screen, but the DBs are playing pretty deep. Almost looks like a cover 3. He's going to run a 15-yard out route past the first down markers, sits in his zone hole, and then look at this run after the catch. Sheds 3 tackles here without even really breaking his stride before he gets taken down for a 30-yard gain. This next play, again, opposite trips. Man free. And watch Flutie is going to start dancing around a little bit as he sees pressure. Alex is going to grab grass, go 180 degrees to the back pylon, and then high points it for a touchdown. This last one here, trips again, single high safety. Hilger on a one-on-one with the corner about 10 yards off the ball. Flutie takes a short drop, but he already knows where he wants it. Look at these feet right here. Great concentration, just gets his feet just in bounds at the back goal line. That's an elite playmaker making an elite play. I mean, we've both seen this live with him for a couple of years now. When he's on the field and he's fully healthy, he is a special athlete. Just a dynamic all-around playmaker.
Also in the kicking game as well, not a
Absolutely.
bad kicker too. Obviously, we talked about injuries. Hilger back in the lineup. Natick's been fighting it a little bit, but been really tough here in Walpole, especially. Connor Moriarty, somebody that was on our preseason All-State team, obviously been kind of fighting it with some leg injuries in and out of the lineup here last couple of weeks. Steve Kukwa been stepping it up. I think we saw it from week 1 is somebody, a younger player that's gotten into the mix here. But of course, what really makes this Walpole team very tough, always in between the tackles when you think of this Rebels team. We talked to Nick Copatrick, another senior captain right here.
Nick, I don't think a lot needs to be said this week, does it? It's Natick week. It's one of the most anticipated matchups of the year, not just in the Bay State Conference, but in the state. What's tempo like? What's the mood like this week?
Everyone's amped to play. We know that they're a fast-moving team offensively. I think they like to run a no-huddle offense, so we've been doing a little extra conditioning so we can run with them. And everyone's just excited to play.
You guys have had some injuries here, but the guys left are still pulling their own weight here. You, obviously, Noah Kung, Will Bolster has had some terrific games here. Is it sort of a next man up mentality with you guys?
Yeah, it has to be. That's how football is. It's a team game, and next man up always has to be ready.
When you look at a guy like Troy Flutie, obviously you've got history with this guy. He's done some amazing things against you guys in the past, but I looked to Wellesley a couple weeks ago. You see a scrambling quarterback and the way you guys try to cage him up. How do you approach Flutie in this game?
Flutie, he's a special player, but he's a little faster than the kid from Wellesley, so it's hard to contain him. But everyone's just gonna do their job and make sure we take care of him and everyone else.
How important is defensive line play going to be in kind of trying to neutralize what they do?
It's huge. That's where we have to win every time, is the offensive and defensive line. That's going to be the biggest part of our game.
How are you feeling going into this game? I mean, mentally, how are you feeling?
Good. I feel like we have a good chance to win. You have to feel like you're going to win. Don't even go out on the field if you don't think you can win. You have to have a chance.
Thanks very much, Nick. Now we're going to get more into this Rebels offense here with quarterback Will Bolster in just a moment. But Brendan, let's take a look again at this Rebels offense. Kind of changed here in recent years, a little bit more spread, being able to spread opponents out and throwing the ball a little bit more here.
Yeah, and then defensively, typically against Natick, 2 years ago when they won with 6 seconds left on the field goal, they pretty much put 5 in the box the whole game. That's been kind of a strategy with them, and just let the defensive linemen, hold their own, and the linebackers and do one-on-one. But I looked at this Wellesley game from 2 weeks ago. It's kind of a similar package to what Natick's going to show, obviously with a little bit more dynamic athletes. But I thought they had some interesting stuff here. I'm going to look at the tape, a couple formations here. This first one here, you look at the double slot formation. But look at how many guys in the box. They got 7 in the box playing a man free. And this is going to be a 5-man rush with the backer blitzing up the B gap. Actually slips a little bit, but look at the pressure off the edge from Kyle Raftery. Nice swim move, and then the D tackle makes a nice bull rush here, and he's going to wrap up Faduli for the loss. Then this next play here, this is going to be a nice hurry for an incompletion. Again, 7 in the box. Look at that. Cover 0. But Nick Copatrick, number 76 here off the edge, sets up his tackle outside and then spins inside, gets the hand in the guy's grill. Faduli's running for his life here at this point, evading 3 defenders, able to throw the ball away just in time. So as you can see here, they've had some injuries, but up front, they're still pretty solid with Noah Kung and Nick Copatrick coming off the edge. They've got really good techniques down low in the trenches, the bull rush, the swim, the rip, etc. I still think this is a defense that up front can give Natick all they can handle.
Now, this Natick defense, obviously very strong in the secondary unit. Mike Abraze, I think, one of the better defensive backs we've seen in the last couple of years. But this Rebels team, they like to spread it out a little bit more. You think back to the Needham game,
Absolutely.
40 pass attempts. When's the last time you saw a Walpole team with 40 pass attempts? It's probably been quite a while, at least.
Yeah.
But Will Bolster coming up here in just a minute. Got some good weapons on the periphery here. Jack Levanchi, another one of those young players, going to be creating some difference here for quite some years. But here it is from the quarterback, Will Bolster.
All right, here with Will Bolster. Will, we've kind of had a banter back and forth all fall along with the Hickory Hoosiers and all that, whatever it is. Can we just get you to say one thing on camera, though? Jimmy Chitwood would not get off the bench at Walpole High. Can we at least admit that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Not enough needs to be said about this game here. Every week, this is one of the biggest rivalries in the state. What's the intensity been like this week?
Oh, it's obviously stressful. Everyone knows Walpole, Natick. There's going to be towns coming here, Norwood. All the borderline towns are going to be coming to watch us play. Probably the place will be packed.
What are the memories that conjure when you think about this rivalry?
I mean, I've been coming to all the games since I was little, and especially the home ones, and it's just a huge tradition, especially since like 2000 and stuff. I mean, it's kind of shifted over to Walpole Natick from Walpole Norwood, and they're both still huge games, but Walpole Natick and Walpole Norwood are always the closer ones.
You guys had a rough go about against Milton 2 weeks ago, but you've bounced back. What kind of momentum do you guys think you got going into this one?
Well, after the win in Norwood, I think we have good momentum. I think we had a great week of practice against Norwood, and we've already started out with a pretty good week of practice against Natick, so I think we've got pretty good momentum.
A lot of the narrative going into this game is Flutie and his offense and the things they do, but I don't think this defense gets talked about enough. What do you see that stands out about this defense, and how do you what do you see out there? What do you try to exploit? What matchups do you see?
Well, I see they have a lot of good athletes, and I think we just gotta execute and be prepared and watch plenty of film, try to see tendencies and stuff, and try to pick at those.
How have you bounced back from 2 weeks ago?
You gotta try to put it aside. I kind of have a personal rule: you 24 hours to be happy about a win, and 24 hours to be sad about a loss. And after that, you just have to move on. And it's in the past. Look forward to the future. Thankfully, with the new playoff system, we're still alive. We're blessed to have that, and I think if we just need to execute and be confident.
Thanks very much, Will. Now we'll wrap it up with Coach Greener in just a moment here. Brendan, obviously we talk about, Bay State Conference. This is a league full of great rivalries, but really this has become, I think, probably the best in recent years.
Yeah, it does not get better in the Bay State Conference than Natick Walpole this week. These guys have been trading Bay State Hilger titles since 2004, back and forth, alternating. Every year, this is one of the marquee matches within the state. I remember my first time covering this game in 2008 while I was still at the Boston Globe. Scott McCummings, the quarterback for Natick, outdid Ryan Izzo, the all-everything running back for Walpole. And I remember him crying after the game, saying this is one of the best moments of my life, beating Walpole here on their own turf. Just an exciting game year in, year out. 2 years ago with the game-winning field goal with 6 seconds left. You think of last year and Troy Flutie getting inserted at safety and making a difference there. Every year, this rivalry gives you something to go home about and talk about for the next offseason.
Yeah. And a man who's seen just a couple of these matchups here, Rebels head coach Barry Greener.
All right, Barry, this is such an emotionally charged game for you guys every year. What is typically said in a week like this?
Well, we talk about the rivalry. And it's gone back for so many years. It goes back to the 70s. I mean, I started here in 72, and if it wasn't John Doherty's Norwood team, it was Tom Lamb's Natick team. They were our two biggest games of the year. So you're talking going back over 40 years. And the thing with Natick travels. Their fans travel. You'll see them come in the pickup trucks with the Natick flags flying. And they'll bring the whole town. It has, like Walpole, Natick has a great football culture and a great fan support and a lot of talent. Kids play hard, well coached, so it's a great program.
You look at a player like Troy Flutie, and he's so elusive when he's flushed out of the pocket. He makes big play after big play. Do you cage a guy like that? I mean, how do you approach him?
Well, you have to do different things. Like the last couple of years, sometimes we've gone after him with a 5 or 6 man pressure. Sometimes we've sent 3, tried to keep him in the pocket, and dropped 7 and had 1 spy. So, I mean, we have to do a lot of different things. We have to mix up our coverages, show one thing, but at the snap of the ball, play something else. If we just sit in one coverage or one stunt, or we try to blitz every play, or we try to drop every play, we won't do very well. We have to try to cause some doubt, and he's so well versed at his position that's difficult to do, but we have to try to do it.
You guys have had a few injuries, but still some terrific players. Will Bolster, obviously the most prominent. What do you expect out of guys like that with their senior leadership?
Well, our seniors that are still standing, they have to play their A game. Bolster, I thought, was outstanding against Wellesley, played a great game, helped us sneak through a really, really tough battle over there a couple weeks ago. He has to even find a way to play better Friday night. He's got to play his A-plus game, and so does every player on the field. Yeah, we've had some injuries, but it's very simple. It's in our program, it's next guy up. And we expect that person, that player, to be able to do the job.
How fired up are these kids to play?
Oh, they're looking forward to this game. It's our game of the year, no question. The Natick Walpole game is something special.
Thanks very much, Coach. Now, Brennan, we get to our meat and potatoes here. It's pick-a-rama time. What do you got going on?
Oh boy, I get some real burners here for you this week.
And of course, it's the last week of the regular season here. Actually, Brennan has a 2-game lead in our season standings here, so it's really come down to crunch time.
Game on Scotty, huh?
Hey, we got to make it happen. So let's try to make up some hay this week, and obviously let's start it out. The Atlantic Coast League, again, this has been one of the more intriguing league races week in, week out, back and forth. Another great one here that should really help elucidate this league championship here. Dennis Yarmouth, and again, the upstart Marshfield Rams.
Marshfield, boy, one of the most dramatic teams you'll see. It seems like every week they're winning in dramatic fashion at this point. But this DY team is really clicking into its own. They came out of the gates storming against Barnstable, then they took one on the chin to Plymouth North. But they're rolling again. Spencer Tyler, Michael Dunn. Got a lot of athletes out there at DY, and I think this is going to be the team to watch in the playoffs in D4. Give me DY here, 28-20.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. Mike Dunn really probably been one of the more underappreciated playmakers. Talk about offense, special teams, you have it. He's going to be the difference here. We'll call it for the Dolphins. Let's call it 28-24. Let's go to the DCL, another very tightly contested league race here. Acton-Boxborough been nipping on the back end of our top 25 here for a while, and a very good team in Waltham.
Absolutely. Waltham, I think, was my pick to win the DCL in the preseason. AB has really shown up nicely. I know they had that blowout loss to Natick early in the season, but they've really held their own in a DCL. It's been pretty wide open for the most part. However, I think this is the year Waltham finally gets one. Gets their first league title since moving into the league a couple years ago. Give me Waltham here, 17-13.
Yeah, I like the Hawks. I mean, they were the kind of the pick, I think, in the preseason, but just seeing the way that the Colonials have come, again, rough start for them at Natick. No fault of there, really. But this team has really come a long way, and I think they're headed in the right direction. I'm going to go with AB by the score of 31-27. Let's go to the Hockomock Kelly Rex. Now, King Philip gave their best shot on defense against Mansfield. Wasn't quite enough, but they got another offensive juggernaut coming in this week with Attleboro.
Yeah, Attleboro has put up a lot of points, but King Philip has done a good job of stifling those hot offenses. You saw what they did to Mansfield last week, and they kind of made it the grinder. Mansfield won it out in the end, 20-7, but for a long time, I think that was a struggle. I think you're going to see the same thing here. I mean, Attleboro, they like to take a lot of shots downfield. They got a couple of really nice space players that they kind of release into the flats, and obviously a big downfield target there. Luke Morrison, Brendan Massey, etc. Tim Walsh at quarterback. They got a lot of weapons to work with here. I'm going to go with an upset here.
Oh,
Attleboro. King Philip can move the ball too, but not quite as dynamic as Attleboro. I think this will be a back and forth battle, but by Attleboro standards at least, maybe a little bit low scoring as opposed to what they've done in years past, or weeks past, sorry. Give me Attleboro 2018.
Hey now, like it. Going to go with the Warriors here. I think that defense, again, you see what Coach Lee said after the game there. He was still very happy with his defense and the way they played against Mansfield. I think they keep it going. Going to be low scoring, of course it is, I think, for them to win this game. I'm going to call it 14-7 for the Warriors. Let's go up to the MVC with Andover and Lowell.
Yeah, this will be a really underrated battle here. Andover coming off a really nice win last week over LaSalle Academy. With number 14 Rhode Island this week by the latest media poll. So that's a good win for them. Jack Sylvester, he's been their most dynamic offensive player. On defensive side of the ball, you know what you get in Will Eikenberry. There's a lot of things to like here, but I'm curious how, obviously they play a similar tempo to what Lowell does, but we've talked in the past about how Lowell confuses some linemen with the way they sugar the inside gaps and do a lot of zone blitzing, and Shaheem Cullen very, very good at that. I think they give him trouble here. I think Lowell comes out here 24-14.
Almost wanted to pull the trigger on the upset here, but I'm going to go with the Red Raiders. Again, you mentioned with Andover, that defense has been really good. Sylvester, huge pick again in that game last week, but I think Lowell has just enough to last him out here. I'm going to call it 27-24. Let's go to the South Shore League team you saw last week, Brennan and Abington. Man, you can't really keep this team down. It's been injuries. It's been, all the seniors that they lost from that terrific team from last year. But got another one, a big one coming in here with East Bridgewater coming to town.
Abington's got quite the thunder and lightning there. You got Al Freeman on the inside, tough guy who gets extra yards. And then Sean Donovan, this kid's going to be special. He's only a sophomore. I haven't seen live hips like that in the South Shore League since Casey DeAndrade, frankly. Boy, this kid's got a bright future. However, East Bridgewater was my preseason pick to win the South Shore League, and they've had some very nice wins early. And at Millis was pretty impressive the way they kind of shut them down. But I'm going to go with East Bridgewater here. I might get exonerated here in Abington for this one, but I got to go with East Bridgewater, 23-21.
Well, my preseason pick in the SSL was Abington, so again, not going to deter now. It's too late in the season. Going to ride the green wave. Coach Kelleher always gets his kids to play, no matter what the circumstance. I'm going to go with Abington. It's going to be a real grinder, I think. Let's call it 16-14. Now, speaking of grinders, matchup of defense here in the Catholic Conference, huge one here. BC High has really gotten things. They look like a different team from the beginning of the season, and probably their toughest test to date with Xaverian coming.
This is going to sound kind of a Captain Obvious statement here, but I think whoever scores first here wins the game. This is not going to be a game that's going to put up a lot of offensive yardage. You're not going to need a lot of bulbs on the scoreboard for this one, and it's going to be really good, solid defense. At the end of the day, I don't know how BC High neutralizes a kid like Joe Gaziano, who seems to have be a threat in every facet of the game, all three phases. Give me Zavarian 14-10 here.
Almost want to go with the Eagles here. I know that they were trumpeting my pick for last week, but I'm going to go with the Hawks here. I'm going to go with the Hawks here. Again, I think they've been the team ever since the Thomas injury has kind of altered the landscape there. I think they're the team to beat, and I think they hold serve here. As you mentioned last week, punters will probably be a huge factor again out on Morrissey Boulevard, always a factor. I like Zavarian special teams. They've been a factor all year. So I'll go with the Hawks. And, I think there'll be some points on the board here, actually. Let's call it 31-28. Let's take a look at Saturday. Some really big ones in Central Mass that could have some potential playoff preview kind of angles to them. In Division 4, you got Doherty. And St. Peter Marion has been a team that played very consistent all year, really.
St. Pete has been one of my interesting teams. They've flown on the radar. They got some really good skill players that they do a lot of nice stuff with, Dan Henriksen, Noah Burke, etc. I know they lost a tough one, bit of a controversial ending there against Shepherd Hill. I think they're going to put up some points here against Doherty, but just that combination of Alfred Adarko and Isaac Yidam and Luke Brennan, one of the best quarterbacks in Central Mass, getting the ball up there to them. I like that combination a little bit more than what St. Pete's got. Give me Doherty 35-31.
Almost want to go with the Guardians off the bounce-back week here, but again, I don't think they've seen an offense quite like Doherty's. I'm going to go with the Highlanders all the way there, and I think there'll be some points on the board there. Let's get the calculators out. Let's call it 38-34. Let's keep it in Central Mass as well. St. John Shrewsbury, another tough test for this defense here in the secondary unit with Marlboro coming in, can really chuck it around.
You want to talk about points? This is going to be one with a lot of points. Put the over-under at maybe 60 points being scored in this one. Seriously, they're going to go back and forth. You got two of the top passers in Central Mass going at each other. John Rumney from Marlboro against Andrew Smiley, the preseason All-State from St. John's. Both have done very well, exceptional in their own right. But in the end, I think St. John's makes just enough plays to stay ahead of Marlboro in this one. Give me the Pioneers 40-35.
Upset special here, folks. It's going to be a track meet, and I think Marlboro can really hang with them here. Again, as you said, there are going to be some points, folks. 34-31. We'll call it a close game.
A little bit more conservative.
A little bit more, slightly more. But man, let's go to the ISL here, Brennan. This is really ostensibly for all the marbles here. This is the game of the year in the ISL. Governors, again, with that win streak, can they be stopped? Is Milton Academy finally the team to do it?
Every week we're asking this question, aren't we?
Yeah.
When will Governors be stopped? Maybe this is the week. Maybe this is the week. Maybe this is the week. And then what happens? Governors comes out and really plays flawless football. I don't see them losing here this week either, for all the good that Milton Academy has done with some unheralded plays a little bit. Drew Jacobs, obviously, at the forefront of that. But give me Governors and their athletes just doing enough to stay ahead, 23-17.
Now, I think I've muttered this very line about 3 or 4 times here already. But this is the week that the streak ends. Maybe I'm just delusional. I don't know. But I'm going with Milton Academy. I think that this team has been just building towards this point. I really like their chances here. Going to be kind of conservative here. Let's call it 21-17. And then finally, only thing we got left is here Friday night. Of course, you know it. Our good friends from Sports Authority and Bay State Games are going to be here as always. It'll be a great atmosphere. Get here early. There's going to be a lot of people here, folks. Natick, Walpole. What's the pick, Brennan?
I think Walpole can put some points up on this Natick defense for all of the parts that they're missing. I think Bolster is going to have a good bounce-back game. He had a rough one against Milton. I think he bounces back here and cements what's been a pretty decent high school career for him. You know, one of the more underrated quarterbacks, I think, in this area. However, all that said, I think Natick, I just don't see how you cage Flutie. Everyone's tried to cage Flutie. Everyone comes on here and says, "Hey, we got to cut off the running lanes. Hey, we got to get hands in his face. We got to make him think a little bit. We got to make him uncomfortable." Everyone's been doing that. They look at the Beverly blueprint from last year's Super Bowl and they said, "Hey, we can do that," but it's a lot easier said than done. You just can't cage this guy the whole game. He's gonna break out and do something miraculous every week, just like his uncle, just like his father. It's in their blood. I don't know what it is. But it's in their blood. Give me Natick 30-21.
It's going to be a tough one. You take a look at this matchup last year. I really thought we had all kind of anointed Walpole. It was their year. That was a juggernaut of a team that they had here last year, and they go into Natick and things didn't quite go the way they wanted to in the second half. So maybe there's an element of that here. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any extent of the imagination. I think, again, it comes back to Natick in the running game. Obviously, Flutie accounts for a lot of that. Chad Kidd is another kid that's stepped up.
He might be the X factor here.
Absolutely.
He's a powerful
Absolutely.
back.
Great, low center of gravity, very tough to tackle. He could be a real X factor. But still, I think too many things to go against with the Red Hawks here. I'm going to go with Natick. There'll be some points. Let's call it 28-27. And I think that'll put a wrap on yet another week. We'll see you next week when we flip the page to the playoffs. Brendan, let's just take a minute here and look ahead to this week again. A lot of league titles up for grabs this weekend. A lot of playoff spots up for grabs this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake out for next week.
Yeah, especially in this Division II South where Natick is playing here. I mean, you're talking about teams that are ranked in the top 15 of our poll right now could be looking at not having a first-round home game.
Yeah.
That's how loaded this D2 South is. Natick needs the points here. Walpole's going to need the points, but boy, Natick would like to get a nice home game for that first round. They could use a win here.
And of course, folks, keep up with our bracketology. We'll break it down almost minute by minute, handicapping all of those league races. But in the hitherto, watch us on Friday. And of course, we'll catch you next week. I'm Scott Barboza for Brendan Hall. We'll see you next time on ESPNBoston.com High Schools.